There are currently 60 million people worldwide with Alzheimer's disease, and this number is expected to triple by 2050. And let me tell you, they cannot build memory care facilities fast enough, and most of them have waiting lists. And for those being cared for at home, this is exhausting and very difficult on families. I must also mention that the United States is number 2 in the world in Alzheimer's disease, and 2 out of 3 of these are women. This will be the collapse of the US healthcare system. So why are we in this spot? What are the types of dementia? And is there anything we can do to prevent it? The answers may surprise you, and we're gonna cover it all in just a minute. As a geriatric physical therapist, working with patients with dementia is just part of my world. And I can tell you that losing your identity and your memories of life, not recognizing your spouse, your kids, your grandkids, is devastating for families. And I've had a front row seat to more heartbreaking scenes than I can count. A patient named Sarah is one I think of often. I began seeing Sarah for physical therapy when she lived in an assisted living facility. She was in her early 80s at the time, and she walked with a walker. She was pretty feisty and had a great sense of humor. Sarah did show some signs of short-term memory deficits at that time, but she always participated well in our treatment sessions and just needed some cues and reminders here and there. I got to know her adult children, and I always looked forward to seeing her. Fast forward 3 years, and I was asked to see Sarah again because of a fall she'd had. I realized she had moved from the assisted living into a memory care facility. And y'all, when I walked in, I did not even recognize her. She was sitting in a wheelchair, slumped down, and had clearly lost that spunk that I remembered. As I assessed her, my heart just sank because her mind and personality had really taken a 180 over the past few years. I felt for her family and for the precious life that she had been dimmed so greatly by Alzheimer's disease. So dementia is an umbrella term that essentially refers to any dysfunction in the brain that leads to cognitive decline. Some types of dementia that you may or may not have heard of are vascular dementia, frontotemporal dementia, Lewy body dementia, Parkinson's-related dementia, and Alzheimer's dementia, which is also being called type 3 diabetes of the brain. And Alzheimer's is the one affecting the majority of people. If you care for or have a loved one with dementia, I empathize with you. It is hard. You must enter their world. It may trigger aggravation or irritability if you try to correct them or to argue with them. Change in behavior is very common. And I've had the sweetest little ladies who start cursing like a sailor to the shock of their families who don't even know what to do with it, saying they've never heard a harsh word out of their mom or grandmother in their life. Recognizing that this is not cognitively the person you once knew is very hard, but it's also necessary to separate the two in order to help decrease hurt feelings and frustration. Contrary to popular belief, only 2 to 3% of Alzheimer's disease can be traced to genetics. And even in those individuals with the ApoE4 allele, it is not a predetermined sentence. Neuroinflammation, which is multifactorial, is at the root of changes in the brain. What does this tell us? It tells me that there is so much we can proactively do for prevention. So let's discuss 5 super valuable, low or no cost solutions that you can start today. Managing blood pressure for our brain health is completely underrated. We have around 400 miles of vasculature in our brain, and spikes in blood pressure can kill off capillaries that we need to carry oxygen and nutrients to the brain. The current standard is to keep our blood pressure at 120/80 millimeters of mercury or less, and you can check out our episode on blood pressure. And as the brilliant neurophysiologist Dr. Luisa Nicola says, what's good for the heart is good for the brain. And that leads us to our next proactive measure. Number 2 is exercise. Number 2, exercise. Again, this is about blood flow. 85% of the gray matter in our brain is modifiable by exercise. And for longevity, getting aerobic exercise that increases heart rate and resistance training are critical. We need to aim for 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous exercise per week and incorporate 2 to 3 days of strength training as well. There is actually now evidence surrounding strength training that says the larger the leg muscles, the larger the brain. And this is really referring to strength and power versus size. There is so much magic to muscle, but in terms of brain health, when a muscle contracts, it secretes myokines called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which are anti-inflammatory and they nourish our neurons in our brain. All right, number 3 is sleep. And most of us are not getting the quantity or the quality of sleep that we really need. Our glymphatic system is activated when we sleep. Think of it as like a street sweeper that's cleaning out and clearing out debris so that we wake up refreshed and sharp the next day. Consider putting yourself on a sleep routine, just like you would a baby. Cut off eating and liquid sugar intake 2 to 3 hours before bedtime. Turn off any sources of blue light 1 to 2 hours before bedtime, and keep your room dark and cool. Number 4, y'all, we have to drastically reduce our liquid sugar intake. I'm talking juice, sodas, this includes diet sodas, fancy coffees, and I'm just gonna say this, alcohol. Please don't shoot the messenger here, but literally no amount of alcohol is good for your brain. Ultra processed food is also a huge problem, and I totally get the convenience of it. We keep a lot of ultra processed things in our house. It's easy to grab and go. We're busy, we're on the run, 3 teenagers, lots of activities and sports. I'm living it, I get it. But let's be intentional about selecting whole, real foods when possible. Number 5, supplementation. In terms of supplements, I have 2 must-haves. It is highly recommended to have a good quality omega-3 fatty acid because we just don't get enough omega-3s in our diet. An underdog for our brain health is creatine. Most people think of creatine as just something that like meatheads and bodybuilders use. But guys, creatine is neuroprotective, and the cognitive benefits of creatine monohydrate for our brain health is way underappreciated. I have 3 teenage athletes and they all take creatine. It is widely studied, it is extremely safe, and it's legal. For women in perimenopause and menopause, hello, that's me, our estrogen has left the building. Estrogen is anti-inflammatory, and as we established, Alzheimer's is a neuroinflammatory problem. This may be one reason why women are so unequally affected. The improved focus and mental clarity from creatine supplementation are just 2 amazing benefits, and I'm always on a crusade to get my midlife women using this. I just mix it in my coffee or yogurt or a smoothie every day, and I would recommend starting with 5 grams per day and gradually building up to 10 to 12 grams per day because that's what the research has shown for improving cognition. I can promise you this is not the last time you will hear me talk about creatine. We will link an omega-3 supplement that is 2,500 milligrams of EPA and DHA, and it's sourced from the best sardines, herring, mackerel, and anchovies, and a high-quality micronized creatine powder, both of which I'm affiliated with. You might also consider a vitamin D supplement, and I'd encourage you to have your labs drawn and kind of know your levels and speak with your provider regarding what might be right for you in terms of vitamin D supplementation. We cannot possibly cover all of the information pertaining to Alzheimer's in one episode, but I would highly recommend you look into the work of Dr. Louisa Nicola and Dr. Dale Bredesen if you want to take a deeper dive into this important topic. Thank you for joining me today. And if you found healthful connections here, please like, subscribe, and share with a friend or loved one.